Hi guys, I'm Dean and welcome back to another edition of the Inebriologist. So the beer that I'm going to be trying this week is the Primary Brett Imperial Stout. So this beer is 9.5% ABV. Unfiltered, it says unfiltered on it, so it's going to have a little bit of sediment in the bottom, or a little bit of just like sort of the deposits from the yeast on the bottom there. It's got a big bottle as well. It's more of a sharer, but well, you know, it's such a nice beer, I may keep it to myself. And there's nobody in the flat to share it with, so the Lines Brewery, as I said, they've been going for a couple of years, but yeah, they've kind of done a range of different beers, but I think what they kind of stand for, what makes them sort of a little bit different from the other breweries, is that they use a lot of wild yeasts in their beers. So very, very similar to sort of like what you got with the Wild Beer Company in Bristol. But I think what they're doing is they're going more towards like the Belgian sort of territory of wild yeasts anyway. So like more like spontaneous fermentation, and I think they do a lot of barrel aging as well. But yeah, because this one, even though it's an imperial stout, you know, by the title of it, it is a primary Brett, which means it's the type of bacteria that's used for making the beer. So it's the Brett farmhouse style bacteria that's used. Yeah, looking forward to trying this, because I have tried this once, but I can't remember what it tastes like, so it'd be nice to sort of be reacquainted with the beer. So yeah, so I'll read a description as well on the side of the bottle, which is quite interesting from the brewery anyway. So all of our beers are produced from natural ingredients using alternative energy and fresh water from the aquifer under our own brewery. Each bottle is conditioned, unpasteurized and carefully aged depending on the beer style. So yeah, so I'm guessing this beer has been aged for a little bit anyway. Yeah, but it doesn't say anything more than what the couple of the ingredients are on there. But I do like the labelling and everything on Lines. It's just something a little bit different, a little bit more sort of quirky. From the stuff I've had from Lines, they've been really, really good. So hopefully when I get reacquainted with this beer, it'll taste just as good as I remember it anyway. So time to get into a glass and see what we got. Being a stout, it's probably going to be jet black, but it could be something a little bit different depending on, again, from the type of yeasts they're using for the Brett type stout. So yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what it looks like as well. So I'm using my Castile glass just because, yeah, it's a nice glass. I do like it with a little castle on the stem there. Something a little bit different really, you know. Yeah, so here we go. Time to pour. Oh, that's interesting. It's not jet black. It's very dark. It's a very dark beer from the initial sort of pour, but when pouring that, I thought it was going to be absolutely jet black, but it's not at all. It is very dark, but I can still see a little bit through that. It's more of like a really dark brown ale, but it's got that sort of just off-white tan head to it, which is like a pinky's worth of a head type thing, you know, but the head's dissipating quite quickly now anyway. So, but it looks very interesting. It's got that sort of quite dark brown sort of hue to it as well, which is very interesting. But yeah, I think maybe, again, it's up to the brewery what they call particular beers, you know. There's no sort of rules or regulations with beers on what they're called. Some breweries have called some stouts like a white stout, and it just ends up being like a pale ale. So it's up to the brewery what they want to call it. Yeah, so time to have a bit of a smell and see what we got. Yeah, straight away it's got that definite farmhouse type of slightly sour, do I dare say vinegar sort of smell to it, like an acidic smell. It does smell very, very fruity, but it's definitely got that sort of barnyard funk about it, which is quite interesting. It's something that's a million miles away from what you get with a normal stout. Usually stouts, it's just kind of like a meal in a glass type thing, you know. But this is smelling more like a saison or like a farmhouse ale. But oh, for God's sake! There we go. Yeah, so as I said, very funky sort of smell to it, barnyard funk. But does also smell very fruity at the same time, and a slightly, very slightly medicinal smell to it. So nothing more to do but just to sample it and try to break down the flavours that are in there. Anyway, so cheers everybody. Wow, a lot of bitterness right at the back, quite tannic as well. It's leaving with a really sort of dry, a really dry finish, but I'm guessing that's the alcohol, I think that is, because it's I could taste there's a lot of initial alcohol in that. As soon as it went down, it just kind of like, it left this sort of bitterness at the back, and then it's just, wow, dry, really dry sensation towards the end. Yeah, very fruity in the sense of like those sort of, it's like a grapefruity sort of fruitiness to it, but with that bitterness, you know, at the end. There is a bit of sweetness in there as well, but it's nothing by the sweetness that you get with a lot of Belgian beers, where it's like that sort of candied sort of sugar flavour, or any sort of like caramel and toffee. I would say if you've been cooking something with a lot of sugar in it, and you've cooked it too long, and it's that sort of caramelised bitterness that you get from something that's kind of like sugar that's been burned, you know. It's because it's kind of leaving that little sort of slightly smoky taste to it as well, which is quite interesting. For the flavour itself, the all-round flavour, it's unbelievable beer, you know. Wow, it's definitely an unhindered sort of uncompromising type of beer, you know. I quite like that as well, with the bitterness, you know. As I said in previous beer reviews, you know, I really do like the bitterness on some beers. You know, this being no exception as well. It's a hefty beer, as I said, with that alcohol hit as well, but it does remind me of like a saison or like a farmhouse ale more than a stout. So yeah, it's great stuff. Yeah, so the score I'm going to give this beer this week is definitely going to be a 4. The quality of the beer is very good. It is quite alcoholic, but that doesn't really deter from the overall flavour you get from this beer, because the beer itself is just, you can taste everything with the layers in there, and yeah, it's just it's such a great experimental beer which has kind of turned out really well. I'd like to try this more fresh than what I've had it now. I'm guessing this beer has been bottled last year, I think it is. No, it doesn't say when it was bottled, but best before on it is the year 2040. I'm guessing there's enough bits and bobs in there to keep it going till then anyway. So to be honest, I wouldn't want to keep a beer that long anyway, you know. Maybe age it a couple of years, but yeah, I'll be very interested to try a beer, especially this one, if it's been kept until the year 2040, just to see what the flavour's like, because a lot of those flavours would have sort of mellowed out by then, so that'd be quite interesting. But yeah, apart from that, it's an all-round great beer, and I'd just love to see a lot more from this brewery in the future, just see where it goes from there, you know. It's yeah, fantastic stuff. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe for more beer videos, and I shall see you very soon. Iechyd.